Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, I know it's been a while. I did do a video a few months back. It was like what, 5-6 months ago, where I did showcase the prototype of an XGUN. It was this rough Nerf mod. This is one of the final models that I have. And instead of showing you guys those short videos that I've been showing, the question has always been, what is this XGUN? What is this Zenith gun? And I like to say the Zenith gun is basically a keyboard, a mouse, and a gamepad, all mixed into one device that is shaped like a gun. Hence the name XGUN. Now, let's talk about the mouse part for this video. When it comes to moving your mouse pointer on your computer, this XGUN has two technologies built into it. It can either use the motion sensor, so it uses the movement of your hand to move the mouse pointer, or you can actually set it to a light gun. And with the light gun, you have to place IR bars or IR LEDs around your monitor. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about using the XGUN as a light gun. Alright guys, so here is the Zenith Utility application. This application allows you to configure your XGUN. So for this video, I'm going to walk you guys through what it's like to configure your XGUN to work as a light gun. Alright guys, so this is the first screen that comes up when you first connect to the app. It's this XGUN Function tab. Now, the purpose of this tab is it allows you to configure your XGUN how you want it to work once you hook it up to your PC. Now, over on this side, you'll see presets that you can select. For instance, there's motion gun, there's light gun, there's gamepad, IR gamepad. These are all the presets you can select. If you don't like any one of these, you can always just go all the way up here to user define. Now, user define allows you to configure every single part of your XGUN. So I can set the joystick, I can set the A button, the B button. What do I want that to do? Just click on this drop down and then select any event you want. You want a keyboard event, you want a mouse event, anything, you can pick it. Cool. Now let's focus on the aiming method up here. The aiming method is where you pick how the mouse cursor on your computer will move when you move your XGUN. So here I've got it set to light gun. You can move it to motion gun. You can move it to rotate your joystick, but for this video, we're doing light gun, right? And if you notice, in some settings where you set, you see this IR required to come up. And whenever IR required comes up, this means your XGUN is expecting you to have some sort of IR or sensor bar positioned somewhere in your monitor. Yeah, the XGUN uses IR technology, right? But it uses any type of IR technology. To set up your IR, you'll just go onto this tab right here that says infrared sensor. You go click over here. This is where you get to pick what sort of IR technology that you're using. The XGUN works with all sorts of IR technology. Are you using a sensor bar? Are you using a single LED or multiple LEDs that are placed around your monitor? It doesn't matter, it'll work, but you just have to let the XGUN know what setup you have. This screen right here allows you to see what the camera is seeing. Let me just quickly pick up the gun real quick and aim over there. There it is right there. You can see all the IRs. So the camera is working. All right, let me just put that down real quick. So based on whatever type of sensor bar that you would like to use or you're currently using on your arcade setup, you got to let the XGUN know. And to do that, you click on this button right here that says change sensor type. Once you open that up, it brings up this pop-up. This is where you tell the XGUN, hey, this is what I'm using for my IR. If you're using a sensor bar, are you using a single LED, up or down? Are you using two LEDs? Are you using 3? Are you using 4 in a box shape, or are you using 4 in a diamond shape? Okay, so let's quickly go through all of these types one at a time. Okay, now first one, the sensor bar. Sensor bar is not as accurate, but it will get the job done. It gives you that kind of dragging feeling, but if you just want to play some quick games, you want to have fun, yeah, sensor bar is good. One thing about the sensor bar is it gives you rotation, so it knows when you rotate your XGUN slightly to the left or slightly to the right, and it maintains accuracy. As far as distance goes, you're pretty much required to stay in the same location. If you move up a little bit, it's not as accurate. Now, the single IR LEDs, these ones are, it's kind of accurate, not too accurate. It's very quick and very, quick, gets the job done, as really pretty much straight to the point. Now, the thing about them is they do not support rotation. So if you rotate your XGUN, you might lose some accuracy. And you kind of have to stand in the same location. But it's it'll get the job done on like some fast pace. I just want to play a game. Now these ones on the bottom, these are my favorites. The two boxes, the two IR LEDs. I call them boxes, but it just means two IR LEDs. 2, 3, 4 in a square and 4 in a diamond. If the 2 is pretty accurate. And it just knows exactly where you're aiming at because it knows how big your television is or your monitor is. The 3 boxes, this one is also pretty accurate. Actually, this is one of my favorites. It's really accurate because you don't have a lot of wires and a lot of LEDs just all over your monitor. Now the 4 boxes, there's 4 in a square and a 4 in a diamond. Now what's the difference between these two? Allow me to explain the difference between these two, because I actually prefer this 4 square. I think some people prefer this type, but here's the reason why I prefer the 4 in a box shape. It's kind of like rectangular shape. If you're using the diamond shape, here's what's gonna happen. So you've got your monitor and you set 4 LEDs, top, bottom, left, right. If your monitor is flat and is facing you directly, there's no issues. But if your monitor is slightly slanted, which is gonna be the case for most people, if you look at your arcade setup, most people will have a slightly slanted monitor, and for that, when the camera looks at your screen, it's not gonna tell that it's slanted. It just sees it draws a square. So from the camera's perspective, it draws a square. And here's what happens when you superimpose what the camera is seeing as opposed to your monitor that's slanted. You have these areas that's gonna draw some weird offset. So watch as I aim. Here's where I set up a diamond LED setup, right? And watch as I aim on the edges of the LED. You can see as I'm aiming up, watch that mouse begin to kind of slightly drift off a little bit. You see that happening because it thinks it's a square. The diamond shape cannot tell the camera that, hey, my monitor is slanted. Now let's look at my favorite, the 4 in a box shape. So here we are, we've got the 4 LEDs on each edge of the monitor. As you can see, it draws a complete 3D box. It knows the exact shape of your monitor, whether you're standing from the side, you're standing from the bottom, from the top. Even if your monitor is slanted, you can see how it directly captures it. Now watch me aim on the edges. You see how the mouse pointer is staying pretty much accurate. You're not getting that drift that it has when you do the diamond. That's why I prefer this one. Everything just works perfectly no matter what angle your monitor is slanted, whether you're looking from the left, from the right. It maintains this accuracy no matter what. Alright, let's talk about the aspect ratio. With these 4 options, with the sensor bar options and the IR box option, and also including this guy up here, when you select these, you are being presented with these options here. What is your monitor's aspect ratios? 4:3, 16:9, which most of us are going to use, or are you actually using one of those wide monitors or those ultra widescreen monitors? That is what you pick when you pick one of these. These guys over here, we actually don't need your aspect ratio because these IRs are letting me know what your aspect ratio is because the camera can see it. If you're playing an old school TV, you use that. Your monitor, you can use any of these. Now, for the actual game that you're playing, if your game is a full screen game, you want to go full screen. If your game is bezeled in, for instance, if you're playing on MAME and you're playing one of those old school games, you might want to pick bezel if the game you're playing is bezeled in. For full screen, you will get the XGUN can go from point A to point B from left and right, and there's absolutely no distortion because it's moving full screen. If you go to bezel, you notice the XGUN kind of slightly goes a bit offset. It kind of slides out to the left and slides out to the right because it's expecting for you to have a bezel. Now let me pop in Time Crisis and I'm gonna set this to full screen. With Time Crisis set to full screen and this game is not actually in full screen, my MAME has an bezel and I don't have any bezels. I just have those black vertical bars on the sides. Watch what happens when I move my XGUN from left to right. You see it's not aiming perfectly because it thinks Time Crisis is being displayed in a full screen. Now if I come back here, since I'm playing in the 4:3 bezel mode, I have to set the XGUN to this 4:3 bezel mode. And now when I go back to Time Crisis, watch how perfectly aligned it is, because the XGUN now understands, okay, all right, cool. You do have bezels on the side, so I'm just gonna adjust the way I aim. Okay, so once you've got everything set up, you've picked your IR type and you've picked your monitor's aspect ratio. And if you're playing a bezel game, you've picked your bezel type. Let's just close out of this pop-up. And it's time to calibrate the XGUN. If you notice your mouse is slightly off to the left or slightly off to the right, that just basically means your gun has not been calibrated yet. So you click here, make sure you aim your XGUN directly at your monitor so your gun can see all the IRs that you're using. Aim right in the middle of your monitor and pull that trigger. All of these settings, you only have to do them once. All of the stuff that I just showed you guys with the IR types and the calibrations, these are all set it and forget it. Once you set them once, you're pretty much all done. The XGUN is motion sensitive, which means it's got some motion control gestures, such as thrusting the gun forward or shaking the gun. Here I'm playing Terminator. Notice when I thrust my gun forward, I launch a grenade. Well, that was it, guys. Thanks for watching. The gun is pretty much all done. This September, and hopefully September, October-ish time, I will have close to final model of this guns done. And I'm only gonna do it on special request. This is a one-man team. If you would like one, send me a message on Instagram. My Instagram account is XGUN. Send me a DM. Let me know the features you would like, and we'll talk about prices, and I'll get one to you. But until then, thanks for watching.